Hello, and welcome to the Be Purely Balanced podcast. I'm Dr. Crystal Couture, and today I'm here with Sarah Ritchie. Sarah is a certified David G. meditation teacher, Reiki master, and intuitive healer who practices Reiki, craniosacral therapy, and shamanism. Sarah has been practicing healing work since 1995 when she completed an apprenticeship in shiatsu massage in Japan. Sarah believes that we all have an innate sense of inner guidance and healing, and uses these modalities to help guide you to your place of inner stillness and self-knowing. With a deep love of teaching people tools to assist them on their journey, Sarah runs workshops in meditation, Reiki, and shamanic rites. Sarah feels a calling to hold sacred space for others so that they may come to know themselves better. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Crystal. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited. I'm honored to have you. It's beautiful to have you on the show. So without further ado, why don't you tell us about your healing journey?
Sure. It feels like a long journey now. You know, when you look back, you think, geez, I've been on this journey for about 30 years now. After university, after graduating with an English degree, I went to live in Japan. And it was, so that was in 1991. And I, moved there to teach English, but was struggling a little bit with my own health, with some stress of living in another culture for a prolonged period of time. And I had this great writing teacher who said, oh, you need to go to this clinic. So it was for Eastern medicine, so shiatsu and acupuncture and also Eastern philosophy. And, I started out as a patient, and a few months later, boom, I was in an apprenticeship training. So it was a phenomenal start to my journey. I was blessed enough to help teach some seminars in consciousness training, how our positive consciousness affects our health. And yeah, it was a really, really cool experience. So I was in Japan almost 4 years. I think I was about 3 years at the clinic. And then since that time, I've pursued, study and self-healing through massage therapy, which I studied, Reiki, and craniosacral therapy, as well as acupuncture. But I also really have found in more recent years my deepest points of connection and healing. And perhaps the true starting point of my story is through meditation. I think my whole life I was one of those anxious people who had suffered with anxiety and bouts of depression. And as we often do, we wear that mask because we're trying to show our brave self to the world. And so it was really a means of deciding that in order to get over self-doubt and fear, I delved into meditation. And I discovered my teacher, David G., through Hay House Radio. And when I listened to him, I made a commitment. This is what I need. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is what I need. This is what the whole world needs. This is what we need now for everything that's ailing us. We need to get into stillness and silence. And so I headed on that path. And I've done 2 teacher trainings with David G. since that time. And I really feel that a massive depth of my personal healing I owe in gratitude to meditation, to stillness, to silence, to having that reset point in my day, in fact, twice a day. And I almost can't imagine who I was before I really delved into that as a personal healing modality. So it's kind of the point where I look at everything through that perspective, and it's a pretty rose-colored glass. It's very nice.
That's beautiful. I see a lot of clients who say, so-and-so told me I should meditate. And these are the anxious types, right? So-and-so told me I should meditate. And they say, I'm fighting with the thoughts in my head. I'm fighting with so many thoughts in my head that sitting in complete silence for 5 minutes is torture, and I just don't want to do it. And it's a product of where we are today, right? It's a product of our society. And I always try to talk them off the ledge a little bit, but I'd be really curious to hear, as a meditation teacher, to really hear your perspective for these clients just starting out and knowing that when they go into this silence, they're facing themselves in a way that is really, really challenging.
Yes, I totally agree. And I have heard that same message from clients and friends as well, that, oh my gosh, I know I should, but I couldn't possibly. And I would have to say that my answer to that is that it's a matter of practicing, and you need to have the right tools to begin with. So the great American Buddhist monk Pema Chodron says that when you meditate and you have a negative thought, you just label it thinking and you let it pass, you let it go. And when you have a positive thought while you're meditating, you just label it thinking and you let it go. The point is that we begin to come to a place of self-acceptance and self-compassion through allowing those stories to go and to continue to bring ourselves back to a point of focus. And so meditation really is the opportunity to bring our minds to a point of single-minded focus, to that point of stillness and silence. And it just comes through practice.
Yeah. I really love how you worded this, the idea that negative and positive thoughts are both equal to thinking.
Yes.
And it's true, right? It's this space of neutrality that we can seek, and that space of neutrality is the space where the light kind of comes in, and the dark also comes in, and that's okay, right?
Absolutely. I'm also practicing shamanism, and that's one of the main tenets, is that the dark and the light exist. So it's when we begin to let go of that judgment that we can come to a more pure place of understanding in ourselves. And we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. It's absolutely normal. So when we are meditating, we're also going to have thoughts. It's just given. There's 3 things that will show a successful meditation. One is we have thoughts. A second is that we feel more calm and relaxed. And a third might be that we fall asleep. Well, isn't that a good thing if you got so relaxed that you fell asleep?
Yeah.
You might have sensations in your body, and you might hear sounds in the environment. But for sure, if you have thoughts, you're doing it right. It's about the practice.
Yeah.
Sure. Sorry, go ahead.
This takes the edge off for people, right? Your tips really are extremely helpful, because it's very easy for someone to hear from you who has all of this beautiful training, that's gifted as a healer, and sharing your gifts with the world through meditation and through healing, right? To say it's totally normal to have thoughts in meditation. And like, yes, let's take the edge off of it for people and make it less scary than it is.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. It's I think it's like anything in life, we can practice it. So at the beginning, you start with your training wheels, and we begin with simple breathing exercises. We begin with some visualization to assist you to get comfortable. And then we let go of those training wheels and we begin to work with mantra. Again, having a point of focus creates a pattern interrupt, so that instead of trying to push away the thoughts, instead of trying to, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that, we actually let it pass and bring ourselves gently and effortlessly back to our point of focus, our breath, our mantra, our visualization, our count, whatever that point of focus is. So the pattern interrupt operates to change that neural pathway of agitation and constant thinking and cyclical, hamsters running in the wheel that we all have.
Yeah. I love that you talk about the idea of training wheels, because, some people do really get into their head that we're going to sit in a room on a cushion and be quiet, and there's going to be no stimulation at all. And maybe that's the goal. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But the idea of using breath, using sound, using mantra, using visual, whatever it is that helps someone, it's okay, right?
Absolutely. And comfort is queen or king.
Yeah.
So although, starting with this very, I would say, austere sort of meditation practice in Japan all those years ago, very Zen meditation style with my feet tucked underneath me and all the pins and needles and trying to not think thoughts, was one experience. But my more recent training has really proved to me that if I'm comfortable, if I feel warm, if my back is supported properly, and that might be in a chair or even on a couch as opposed to my meditation cushion, and I will do both, then I will return day after day after day. If I'm not comfortable, I will find all kinds of excuses to not take that time. And it's about self-care. That's primary in everybody's life. Our modern lives are sort of revolving around this, our interaction with those outside of us, our family members, our responsibilities, our social media, and people are constantly looking outside for what else can I do to be a good person? What else can I do to accomplish this job? What else can I do? And we forget that at the root of it all, it's about connecting inside so that we have enough energy to then connect outside.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you see in your practice as well, people coming to you saying that, they have no time for themselves.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, self-care is so important. And, part of the reason that we do this podcast is to share different healing modalities, right? And to share what's available so that people know that they're not alone, so that they can be supported in the way that's most nurturing to them. And that's fantastic. And what you say about self-care is so vital in the idea that self-care should not be another task, right? Self-care should be comfortable. It should be something that we're looking forward to. And if we're making excuses because it's cold, because our back's not supported, because it's X, Y, and Z, of course, we're not going to want to do it. And in fact, at that point, it's not even self-care anymore, right? It falls into some other category.
That's right. That's right. And that kind of austere meditation practice, I would say, is the kind that happens for perfectionists who make their self-care, their meditation, another thing on their checklist.
Right.
It needs to become that desire to foster the seed of light and love and self-compassion within us. My favorite, and of course you never know what's attributed and what's not, and I don't, but I have seen out there, and it doesn't matter to me, it's the most beautiful idea that the Buddha said, be a light unto yourself so that then you can be a light to others.
Yes.
And I learned that the hard way, I would say it might have been 10, 12 years ago, as a North American native, but I wasn't raised with that tradition. I did some searching, have worked with a number of shamans, and I went to see a native elder. It was maybe about 10 years ago. I had turned 40. And I was, as we do every so often, we reflect on our life. And so I went to her just for some feedback and some advice. And she said to me, Sarah, you've got it all wrong. You're supposed to love yourself first so that then you can love others, not the other way around. And I thought to myself, I've been doing this healing work all these years, and I've been doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
It's kind of a profound moment for me. And so I would pass that out to the listeners that, you know, we need to hear that with an open heart and
Right.
learn to smile from our heart to ourselves first.
Yeah. It's 100% the truth. I had a similar situation where it was sort of like that very harsh, like, Mark, right in your face, almost the light just went on. And I resisted it a little bit at first, so I think I agree with you 100% that we need to be open to really hearing that, shedding that light upon ourselves, shedding that love upon ourselves has to be primary. And then the light, of course, that we can share from that space is even greater.
That's right.
Yeah.
It makes it kind of infinite. You know, we tend to feel that our energy is finite, that we only have so much, and that we only have so much time. But I do find that with meditation, my own experience is that my productivity level has raised tremendously, and I do tend to find I have more time for that reflective time in a day, for reading a little piece of they call it your sadhana, your spiritual practice, reading a piece of something that inspires you to greater things, taking that time to do some self massage with my vata balancing oil to keep me grounded and centered in my day. All those little things make a difference. Our ritualization of thoughts and moments, so that we can appreciate where we are, because we're all not so busy trying to get somewhere. It's about being here and now.
That's the key, the here and now. So I want to talk a little bit. I know David G talks about this. I'm a big fan of David G. I've been listening to his meditations online for years and years and years, and I'm just fascinated by the guy. I think he's fantastic. So I love that you've trained with him. And he does talk a little bit about brainwaves, which gets us into the idea of, the energy and the science of meditation and how it works. So yeah,
Absolutely.
feel free to go ahead and elaborate.
Sure. And while I'm really interested in the woo woo and the spiritual side of all of it, I find the brain science is fascinating.
Right.
We are hardwired for fight and flight from our earliest days, and so although as human beings in our culture and our society, we have evolved in different directions from our early caveman days, our physiology hasn't changed an awful lot. And so our physiology was designed so that we would be able to flee the saber-toothed tiger or fight. And so we produce high amounts of cortisol and adrenaline. Our stress hormones. We would thicken our blood platelets in case we got injured or bitten, and so on. So in meditation, there are actually so many studies out there that we actually reverse all of those effects. We lower our blood pressure, we lower our respiration, we help to thin our blood platelets. So obviously meditation helps with heart disease. We help to increase blood circulation to our digestion. So those are just some of the physiological aspects. But then as far as the brain waves goes, we actually are physically changing the brain. There's a beautiful study that came out of Massachusetts General Hospital in conjunction with Mass University. And they took a series of non-meditators and taught them to meditate. The meditators then followed up with meditating, I believe it was 20 minutes once a day for 56 days. They did MRI brain scans before the study and at the end of the study. And the brain scan actually showed a significant decrease in the amygdala, the part of the brain that represents our fight or flight, our reptilian brain, and a significant increase in the hippocampus, which is responsible for creative problem solving, spatial orientation, memory. So we can actually change our brain through meditating. And when I went to my first teacher retreat with David G in 2015, one of my biggest laughs or chuckles was, you know, he loves his t-shirts, and one of his students had made a t-shirt for him. So he showed up to one of the morning sessions in it. And on the front of the t-shirt, it said, I can change your amygdala. I think that's good. And then he turned around and on the back, it says, ask me how.
Oh,
So,
that's amazing.
yeah, it's really, really phenomenal. And I have seen even clients in the past, you know, I also teach meditation one-on-one as well. Just, it depends on what I'm being called to do. And one of my clients this year had suffered severe trauma from motor vehicle accidents and has, you know, severe damage to the areas around her brain, her head, her jaw, and it's been extremely difficult for her to settle down, running, like, you know, if we have 60, 80,000 thoughts a day, I was teasing her, she might have 100. But in only 3 weeks, we both noticed a significant difference in her ability to slow down, to really slow down and to be able to be present for herself. She said that after only a few weeks, her sense of intuition and sort of being able to connect to her inner self was back, and it had been gone for a number of years.
Wow.
And that was just her side effect, right? That was her lovely discovery that we didn't know for sure was going to happen. But yeah.
Wow. Meditation's amazing. I hear these miracle stories and I feel my own, you know, experience with meditation, and then the research to back it up now that's coming out is just like solidifying meditation as something so real and such an accessible tool for us. And that's the beauty. It's cheap.
It is. It's true. It's true. Yeah.
You know,
We really, we all have access to this amazing tool for healing.
Yeah.
We all have access to it.
Yeah.
And in so many communities, I mean, there are teachers of all kinds of trainings and backgrounds. There are now, I believe, 300 David G. Trained teachers worldwide.
Wow.
And you know, the goal, as in our healing work, is to keep spreading that light, to keep assisting each other. You know, is it Ram Dass who says, you know, we're all just walking each other home? That's what we're about, right? Everybody's on this journey, and if we can bring more love and light to ourselves through calming down, through getting more centered and grounded, through making more conscious choices and decisions, and then being able to help others with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you brought up a good point, you know, this fight or flight system that was present, right? When we had animals running around and killing us off because we weren't quite the top predator, right? This is not what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with a whole different life. And I think it's important to just put things into perspective a little bit, right? And like realize, okay, I'm not being chased by a rhino right now, gone rogue, you know, I'm just experiencing stress at work, or I'm just experiencing stress with my partner or my kids or what have you. And this is not a reason for my body to be going into complete overdrive, right? Especially if it's happening on a regular basis.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say in response to that it's one thing to recognize that, to have the awareness around it. And when we meditate, we do develop greater self-awareness, so we can have that positive self-talk. And on another level, knowing that our physiological responses to stress are still physiological responses. And so how do we override them or rewrite the neural pathways is by establishing a practice of stillness, so that we're not having to convince ourselves, because the body often won't listen to that. You know, as you know, with you know, cranial psychotherapy, as well as the the energy work that I do with Reiki and shamanic healing, it's about shifting the vibration and allowing the body to, to accept and release and invite itself into that still point. So yeah.
That's the meat of it. It takes both sides, and they evolve together. That's the cool thing, once we just make that commitment to spending a little time with ourselves in a space that makes us feel really good, not a space that's scary, a space that makes us feel really good. All the benefits just start to happen, and we don't have to know the why. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to know all the details of the science. But if we're feeling good inside, in our own skin, in ourselves, then that's the space.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't even have anything to add to that. That's beautiful.
I love it. I love it. So today, Sarah, you wanted to share a brief meditative healing with us. So yeah, I feel like we're just in a great space to share that healing now. So if you'd like to go ahead.
Fabulous. Good. So let's get settled in. Let's invite in the opportunity to really find a comfortable place. Allowing yourself to settle your sit bones into the chair or cushion or mat. Or if you would prefer, feel free to lie down. Begin to follow your breath as it comes in and as it goes out. There's no need to change it. Your breath is exactly where it needs to be. Just witness it. Begin to feel your presence. Begin to become aware of what is happening right here and right now. Softening, sinking in. And take a nice, long, slow, deep breath in through your nose. Allow that to travel up through your sinuses, over the top of your head, down through your throat, all the way down to the base of your lungs. Imagine it passing through your diaphragm to your belly. And then exhale fully in the opposite direction, watching, witnessing, and observing that breath. And one more time, witnessing that breath as it comes in through your nose, up over your sinuses, all the way down. And exhaling fully. And as you continue to witness that breath, following naturally and easily, all this vast universe is one massive ecosystem of continuous energy, flowing like rivers from mountain to sea, with ease, with grace. The fire from the stars fueling our inner fire like the sun. The coolness of Grandmother Moon helping to be aware of the cycles and rhythms of the earth, the seasons, our breath. Feel yourself slowing down, slowing, slowing. Observe the grace of your breath, this life force connecting you to the universe outside. Every breath you exhale, making a tiny ripple of energy into the cosmos around you. The ancient Vedic writing, the Upanishad, says, Yata pinde tat brahmande. As is the cosmic body, so is the personal body. As is the cosmic mind, so is the personal mind. Is this you breathing the universe, or is the universe breathing you? Feel that connection. Feel that oneness connect you. And now set an intention, a single thing you would like to manifest in your life in the coming day, week, or year. And plant it like your seed, like a seed in your heart. Give it life. See it. Feel it. Trust it. And water that intention with your love and light. And take a nice, long, slow, deep breath in. And as you exhale, release that seed on a dandelion pod, imagining it floating up, 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 up into the universe. And now let's settle into a moment or two of silence and stillness, following the mantra of manifestation. So hum. So hum. I am all that is. So hum. Just repeat it effortlessly. It may speed up and slow down. It may get louder or softer. It may become jumbled or disappear. When you notice, just bring yourself back to so hum. So hum. If you have thoughts, sounds, or sensations, that's completely normal. Just effortlessly drift back to so hum. So hum. So hum. Take a nice, long, slow, deep breath in. And exhale fully. And I'm just going to chant Om, the hymn of the universe, one time for you, just to seal in that intention. If you like, join me by placing your hands at your heart center in prayer position. And I'm going to take that nice, long, slow, deep breath in. And as you go out into the world, know that you have stoked your inner fire and connected it to the vast knowledge and wisdom of the universe. Feel your ripple and step forward into this next moment with presence, awareness, and oneness.
Ooh.
How do you feel?
Oh, you're good. Oh, thank you. That was such a treat this morning. Wow.
My absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm very passionate about meditation, you can tell.
I love it. It's amazing.
And actually, on that note, if any of the listeners would like to email me@sarahritchie.net, I'm happy to provide a one-on-one 20-minute customized personal meditation session via Skype if they put in the title line Dr. K Podcast.
Yay. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for that beautiful offer. We've just really gone wild with raising the vibration today. I'm so excited for the listeners to be able to get in touch with you and access this really special offer, and certainly to learn more about you with which they can at your website, which is inneromwisdom.com, which I noticed this morning as I was reading your website again, that it has 3 ohms in it.
Oh,
If you include the ohm, the wisdom, and the calm, there's 3 ohms. I was like, oh, that's so cool. So inneromwisdom.com, and you'll be able to get in touch with Sarah that way. And of course, she's got a Facebook page under the same name and an Instagram under the same name. So she's very accessible under this one umbrella, Inner Om Wisdom.
Sorry.
That's okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Sarah, today before we close?
Just that it's been a true pleasure to have the opportunity to meet with you, to share with you and your listeners, and to help to spread that light. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. There's such a pure intention behind it, and I'm really so thankful.
I'm so thankful for you and the work that you're doing. This is light work beyond light work. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank